everyone. Can we please stand up for this pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night, June 13th Town Board meeting in Southeast. I'd like to note the exits. There's an exit behind you on both sides, and exit over here. Please turn off all your cell phones and electronic devices. Kathy, can we have a roll call?
Yes. Councilman Cypress?
Here.
Councilman Larka?
Here.
Councilwoman Lewis? Here. Councilman Mazzata?
Here.
Supervisor Durante?
Here. I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session. No actions were taken.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna start with something a little different today. Excuse me. We have a proclamation to award some local girls. We are happy to say that the 2024 Brewster Bears varsity flag football team is here. Most of them, looks like. And we're doing this because they had some great achievements this year. So the town can recognize them for the achievements this year. This has been our best year in just 3 short years. I'll admit, when I heard flag football was coming, I was a little, flag football. But I have to say, when I saw these girls play, I was truly amazed how technical and exciting it actually was. The girls did fantastic. So I'd like to start with their awards. There's a lot of awards from the region that are voted on from BOCES, I believe. So it's a very large pool of players. So Rebecca Anderson, Emma DeBenedictis received all league honorable mentions. Kylie Brooks, Sienna Santiago, who is a very good pass rusher, if I remember correctly. Sandra Estrada, Shay Rockwood, and Ava Fagan were voted all league. Excuse me. Sandra Estrada, Shay Rockwood, and Ava Fagan were also voted all section. Ava Fagan was actually named Player of the Year in Division II. A lot of girls. The girls were 48, 4, and 2 in the first 3 years of this program. It's pretty great, actually. This year alone, they won the league, the division, the section, and the regions. They were finalists for the state title. I do have to say, I watched that game, and it looked like you were playing the Green Bay Packers, so the girls did very well in that game. So it's our pleasure to present you all with certificates of achievement. Kathy's going to go to the podium. I'm going to call your name, and just come on up. So Rebecca Anderson. I'm going to say it wrong. I'm sorry. Ama Aviles? Aviles? She's not here? Okay, well, we're going to give that to Coach, and he'll get it to her. Kylie Brooks. Juliet Brigman. She's not here. Selena Cardona. Grace Charbonneau. So just a little on Grace. She was a 7th grader, am I correct? Yes. Very impressive. Where did we leave? Emma DeBenedictis. Sandra Estrada. Kathy, that next one, just put it on the side for a second. Madison Francis. Hannah Haley. Sophia Morales. Jordan Miles. Ashley O'Hara. Shay Rokewood. I was lucky enough to watch Shay play volleyball too. She's a very good libero. Sophia Rosamilla. Sorry. Okay. Sienna Santiago. Monica Serafin. Okay, so I had Kathy skip one because it was the play of the year, Ava Fagan. I know I saw Coach Cunningham. Come on up. We have something that we're hoping Mr. Berardo will put on the glass case when we walk in the building. It's an actual. It's an actual proclamation. All the girls got certificates of achievement. And, you know, whoever's not a senior, sorry seniors that you got to go. But good luck next year, and maybe we'll do this again. Thank you very much, Bill. So, you know, you don't have to stay here if you don't want to hear all the boring stuff.
I got really excited. You want to
Make a motion to take a recess? Yeah. So we're going to make a motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm out of recess.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so tonight we have a public hearing. I'd like to waive the reading of the public notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So our public hearing is a proposed local law moratorium, lithium battery storage facilities. If there's anyone from the public that would like to share on this, you can please come up to the mic, identify yourself.
We didn't close that on purpose, so you,
okay.
you can open it up.
You can hop over.
No.
I am Samantha Woodgate. I'm 175 Shore Drive. And I'm out here tonight to ask the town board to please consider giving us a buffer for residential neighborhoods. As I've been reading more and more about the fires, particularly the 3 that happened last year, to have no buffer in a residential neighborhood seems really concerning, especially for all the people who live in Brewster buy empty lots. I'm consider myself fortunate that I live in a built-up area. I will never have to worry about one of these being in my backyard. But there are so many people in this community who are not tied in and understand development. And they think that pretty backyard, the woods will always be the woods. And then the next thing you know, they have a lithium park in their backyard. And considering the hazards that go on, I think we should really consider about keeping our residents safe, that we can have a buffer if these things catch on fire, that people's homes are not disturbed, that the school system doesn't get disturbed. I guess you guys will probably be working through in the zoning codes You know, the fire department, one of the things that's really clear when you start looking at the way New York State handled the fires, they don't know how to handle the fires. And the governor just recently put in some new legislation to try to determine how to fight these fires. And I think we need to be very cautious about how close they are to residential neighborhoods. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to share?
Good evening. My name is Ann Finizzi, and I'm a resident of the town of Southeast.
Hi.
And the first thing I want to do is to commend this board, to commend the board on their quickness and speed with which you are addressing the matter of moratorium. I have been with the town of Carmel and Mayapack and with the residents of that particular community, and I can only tell you of the angst, the terrible anxiety that the people of that particular district and Somers, by the way, have had for over 6 months concerning the possibility of a lithium storage battery in their community. So I commend this board for taking this action. But also, I'm sure that you have already researched and know the incredible danger that lithium battery storage presents to residents, to their health, to their quality of life, but also I want to say to the firemen, because at this particular point in time, there is absolutely no way that you can extinguish a fire once it occurs. Water doesn't do it, foam does not do it, and of course, we have in our community volunteers. These volunteers sacrifice their time, their family, their friends, vacation time, so that they can protect us. And to add an additional layer of danger to their already dangerous work, I think is just absolutely unacceptable, unacceptable. And I hope that you will take that particular factor into consideration, which I think you will. On that point, I wish to ask, the master plan and the zoning code will be revised and will be changed. I have a question for you. I don't know whether or not you can answer it tonight, but I might have to write it. The question is, do you have a committee who is addressing the master plan and the zoning code? Have you consulted with a company or other individuals who are land use personnel and zoning code experts? So I don't know whether or not you can answer that question, but if you need me to write, just tell me.
Honestly, we the board, are basically the committee for the town. We have an attorney we've spoken
Yes.
with. We have a planning company that we deal with that
Right.
handle all our zoning and issues like that. So, yeah, we're basically it. And you could call my office if you ever.
Right. My concern is that this is an emerging technology that very few people know really anything about. And I'm just wondering if the composition of that particular committee are aware of some of the information that is yet missing that could affect our community and affect the health of our community and their quality of life. So my concern is there.
And the last round of zoning changes we did, Ashley, our town planner.
I'm sorry, if you could just speak
yeah,
a
I'm
little
sorry.
louder, thank you.
The last round of zoning changes we did, Ashley and the planning board worked together, and they had a bunch of public hearings on that topic, and then they sent recommendations to the town board. I don't think we're sure what will happen now. That's why we're doing the moratorium, to give
Right,
us time
right.
to figure all that
Yes,
out. So-
exactly. The moratorium was what was absolutely required in order to give the town board and town personnel adequate time in order to research and to address the various concerns of residents and so forth. And I want to bring this up because several years ago, I was a member also of a master plan committee, and also participated in some zoning issues and so forth. And I'm wondering if you also are thinking of having the public participate, and how you would have the public participate in any of these discussions before decisions are made.
Yeah, I don't know what the committee might look like, Ann, but there will definitely be public
Yeah.
meetings, for
I'm
any
sorry.
change. I don't know how we'll handle a committee, like you said, but
Right.
everything we do will always have a
Uh-huh.
public
What,
hearing as part of
if
it.
I might, what happened is that the committee was set aside, and apart from the regular town board meetings, there would be committee meetings at which those of us who were interested in participating came here, as a matter of fact. And Tom LaPerche was at this table because at that time, some zoning and some master plan changes were taken. So it was outside of the ordinary town board, and then whatever decisions, were made and arrived at, then it was reported back to the town board and to the town supervisor and members of the board.
Yeah, my personal opinion is, I don't think it'll rise to that level. Like, this might just be a couple of tweaks to zoning, where that was when we were revisiting the entire master plan all at once.
Right.
But we'll
Although
see.
I commend you in terms of the moratorium, when I read the resolution, what I noticed is that nowhere did you say you were going to prohibit it completely in the town. That it was more of a recognition that there was considerable harm and a considerable impact on the quality of life of residents, possibility, and that mitigation measures could possibly be taken. But I saw no word that said, we will prohibit this lithium throughout the town of Southeast.
I think we're at step one, this
I beg
gives
your pardon?
I think we're at step one, and where this
Right.
provides us some time to really weigh heavily, and I don't know if this makes you feel any better, but, we all live in the same town, so this
Right.
is being weighed very heavily.
Right, I
Yeah.
was very much encouraged, and so were the people
Yeah.
of the town of Mayapack, of the letter that you signed, Supervisor Duarte, along with your fellow colleagues from the other town, and that was very encouraging. So that's why I bring these questions up to you, because these are some of the questions that are also prevalent in the town of Carmel and Mayapack, and since I have what shall I say, a very close relationship with them, I bring it to you, and it is a concern of mine. It is a concern of mine because, as you have read, and I have read, the damage, the harm that could be done to residents and to the environment, to whole sections. And what has been done, there have already been fires, the three of them, that really propelled Governor Hochul to engage a study group, a commission, and recommendations came out of that commission, because there is recognition that we are dealing with a very dangerous, and I hate to be melodramatic, but time bomb. So this could happen. People from day to day did not know if this was going to catch on fire. One of the things that happened was there was a water event, thunder and so forth, and and you have considerable amount of damage to the environment and then to the residents. But I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you, and thank you again, and thank you for the moratorium, okay?
Thank
And
you.
do
Thank you,
think
Ann.
of perhaps even a prohibition.
Thank you, Ann. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to share?
Scott, can you open that
Scott.
gate when you're done?
Scott Seaman, that's Town of Southeast.
Hey,
I
Scott.
would once again also like to thank the town board for once again being proactive, showing concern for the community. The moratorium will give us a long period of time, considering we're in the middle of the watershed of the whole city. I'm sure DEP, DEC, everyone's going to want to weigh in on this. So we appreciate the effort, just like with the smoke in the vape shops, the recreational cannabis, all these things that you're looking out for the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank
Thanks, Scott.
Scott, what about the gate?
Do the hurdle.
Would anyone else from the public like to speak?
You can come back up. Yeah,
Come on back.
absolutely.
But now you have to open the gate.
You'd think Alex would do it. He's close.
Another concern that has been expressed to me was the length of the moratorium, which was 6 months. And there was some questions as to whether or not this would be adequate. Was there a reason why you I have my own thinking as to why there was a reason for 6 months and not a year or two, whatever, But what was the rationale behind the 6-month moratorium?
Yeah, I actually don't know the answers to that.
So I think since I've been here, 6 months has probably been the standard that we would start with, and that should give us ample time to, I think this goes through the planning board too,
Yes.
right? And then to us, and everyone reviews it. If we weren't done in time, I think we could set another moratorium or extend it if we had to.
Right. That was my feeling. I just wanted, confirmation on that. Considering that the 5 supervisors had signed the Assemblyman Slater's letter, are you in contact with your supervisors from the various towns, or?
Oh, yes, for sure. And for anyone that's wondering, the letter that I signed was written by Matt Slater
Yes.
to Governor Hochul, with a few local supervisors signing it also to address what we're addressing.
Right, because one of the things that I did try to research is that I discovered that there was an association of towns, and you are a member of the Association of Towns. Has the entire issue of the lithium batteries, has that been brought up? Because I was rather disappointed in their knowledge, but anyway.
Yeah, Kathy might be able to help me with this, but I'm not sure if the associations of towns
I haven't read any.
would be involved in that as much as the towns themselves.
Yeah, they were somewhat involved with the legislature, that there was a legislative bill that almost would eviscerate the town powers.
Yes.
I mean, really. And that, they got a few words of that. But, so I was wondering, whether the towns, saw the red flag coming out of the legislature and, sort of, what shall I say, collectively got together and said, we are going to protect the local control of decision-making of land use.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thanks, Sam.
Is there anyone else that would like to come and speak of this?
Thanks, Alex.
Good idea.
Okay, is it time to go home now, Alex?
I shamed you.
Or, yeah, you got tripped up in it.
You have to
See, he
stand there
can't
and
figure
hold
it out.
Never mind.
No, just leave it, sorry.
I think there's a concrete. Okay, so with that, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so with that, we're going to go in our work session, and today we have Mark and Bill from DEP. They're going to give us a little presentation. We also have Robert Flores here from Delaware who engineered our portion of what Bill and Mark are going to show us. I kind of say this is a little bit of an exciting situation, even
Very
though
exciting.
it's a little stressful. But if you would, please, Bill, just let everybody know what's going on.
Absolutely. So
Thank you.
Mark's going to come and unlock and we'll give a share. I get the center spot.
And to add to all of this, so everyone knows, the VRI company that we now use for our water districts is present also, because this is going to be a very big part of what they're doing for us too. Sorry, Bill.
Not a problem. So good afternoon, good evening Supervisor Durante, members of the Town of Southeast Town Board, Clerk Chinina. Thank you very much for having us here today to talk about the Delaware Aqueduct shutdown. This is the largest and most complicated project, repair project in the New York City water system's 150-year history of work. So we've prepared these slides to talk about a shutdown of half of the New York City water supply that's planned to start this October of 2024, and continue for 8 months. During this time, the water system will need to rely on portions of the Croton system, which are not used as much today as they were in the 1850s through 1900s when the Croton system was built and relied upon principally. We will also need to rely on our Catskill system, which was our second major water system that was created. So the Delaware Aqueduct system is the most recent, but it is the one that is most dire in need of repair. So we have a short agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about the New York City water system background. We do have handouts for each of the town board members, and we have some public documents that we can leave on the back table that are available on the New York City website as well. We're going to talk about the Delaware Aqueduct project. How we got here was about 4 years ago when we were doing planning and decision-making regarding the shutdown. We had a topic of contingency planning and discussions with water system operators and the former supervisor at the town of Southeast. We're going to talk about the Drewville Road pump station repairs. And so it's not all of the town of Southeast that will be impacted by this Delaware Aqueduct shutdown. It is just the Brewster Heights Water District portion of the town of Southeast, which is served by the Middle Branch Reservoir, which is part of the New York City water system. We're going to talk a little bit about the emergency water supply plan, which may or may not be needed for a large portion of the shutdown, but it will be used in, at least in a little bit, to do some upgrades and operational improvements for the pump station that Mr. Flores and his team designed and worked on. And then finally, we're going to close out with the verification of the existing pump capabilities, which is really one of the best parts of our story, because we came initially to you thinking that the pumps that were in place were not adequate for the shutdown, and it turns out that the calculations verified that they are. And so that's, really a good news part of the story, to jump right to
We like good news.
we like good news, no doubt about it. So the New York City water system. So it is primarily a surface water system. It's really all a surface water system. It's comprised of three major systems that were built at different times of the, really America's history as it built. So there's first is the Croton water system, which was built anywhere from 1840 through around 1905 was the New Croton Dam. There is the Catskill system, which is west of the Hudson River and in Kingston and all the way up to Schoharie County, New York, that comprises the Catskill system that was built from 1905 to about 1920. Sorry, jumped forward. And then lastly, there's the Delaware system, which was built circa World War II, really from like 1935 through 1945 was the build out of the Delaware system and the Delaware Aqueduct. So all comprised, there's 19 reservoirs, 3 controlled lakes. It stores and impounds 570 billion gallons of water, which is just an inconceivably large number. That's like 570 days, almost 2 years of storage for all of the New York City and the upstate customers' use. We serve really about half the population of New York State, so 9.8 million customers. So there's 8.8 million residents inside New York City, and then there's another million customers starting from Yonkers and going all the way to a small village, the village of New Paltz in the High Falls Water District in Ulster County, New York, which are served by the New York City Water Supply. So, you know, 1 million people and Hudson Valley residents that are served by that. So we deliver more than 1.1 billion gallons of water each day. So about 1 billion of that is for the city proper. 100 million goes to our upstate customers. Yonkers and points in Westchester County, really south of 287, make up about 80% of that upstate demand. Watershed's really large, about the size of the state of Delaware, almost 2,000 square miles or almost 1 million acres. It covers parts of 8 counties. And we are the largest, nation's largest municipal water supply. So we are entirely, nearly entirely unfiltered. We're entirely gravity fed. We do have some portions that are pumped, you know, inside the system when we need extra capacity for it. So what's happening? So the Delaware Aqueduct, the newest of our 3 aqueducts, is a deep rock tunnel. It exists anywhere from 300 to 500 feet below ground. It's about 13.5 feet in diameter, so it's the kind of tunnel that you could drive a bus through. It has had identified leaks since the early 1990s, the late 1980s. We did identify leakage in that system. And there's 3 segments of the Delaware Aqueduct. There's a segment in Ulster County to Dutchess County, which is the Rondout West Branch Tunnel, and that's the section that is leaking and that will be taken out of service. So that effectively cuts off the east part of our system, the east of Hudson in Dutchess, Putnam, and Westchester counties from west of the Hudson in Ulster, Sullivan, Delaware, Greene counties. And so when that Rondout West Branch Tunnel, part of the Delaware Aqueduct, is shut down, is what really begets where the town of Southeast come in, because we need to pull from all different other parts of those systems that I described to be able to meet the demand for the city and the demand for Westchester customers, and you know, and the town of Southeast, and Carmel. The town of Carmel is a nearby neighbor that also draws during that time. So the Delaware Aqueduct shutdown has 2 areas of leakage. The one under the Hudson River is so severe that it's actually slated to be taken fully out of service. And between 2012 and today, we have actually built a parallel tunnel. This is right in the area of the Newburgh Beacon Bridge for members of the audience or members of the board that are familiar with the Newburgh and Wappingers Fall area of Dutchess County. So there's been a new 2.5 mile long bypass tunnel built parallel to the existing Delaware Aqueduct. And this October is the final piece where we need to actually connect the new tunnel with the old tunnel and take the portions of the old tunnel out of service. So to do that, it will require up to 8 months. It will require modified system operations to be able to meet the city and the upstate demand during that time. So some nice pictures. As I mentioned at the start, this is the largest, most complex repair project in New York City water system history, all 176 years of it. It cost about $1.5 billion. There's always additional costs, but that's money well spent to sustain the system for another century or more of operation and to continue the great leadership role that New York City is able to play to the region for its water supply and wastewater challenges. So pictures on the top left is NORA, the tunnel boring machine. So that was actually built, operates almost like a locomotive, and it just slowly bores through the rock. It actually brings the rock through it, and then it's able to haul away the tunnel muck, as it's called, and bring that out of the thing. The bottom left is some jackhammering and blasting for actually drilling the vertical shafts when they initially built them. So you start with building vertical shafts down. They're 700 feet deep and 900 feet respectively, and then you lower the tunnel boring machine down in pieces, assemble it, and then you start to drive your locomotive across underneath the Hudson River.
So in that 2.5 miles,
Yes.
the grade change is 200 feet?
No, it's the surface elevation that changes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the tunnel is mainly flat. It's got a little grade to it,
Yeah.
maybe 1%, less than that.
Sorry.
Yeah, for it. And then the bottom right is the actual finished tunnel. As it looks, there is ventilation and power and water conduits that will all be removed prior to putting it in service as a water tunnel. So it will be a bare tunnel. Shifting gears, getting a little closer to home. So outage operations for the Croton system. So we have the Croton Falls subsystem. So in this area of Putnam and northern Westchester counties, you have the East Branch and Bog Brook reservoirs right across the street. It's East Branch Reservoir, so we covered that. You have the Middle Branch Reservoir, which is the source of drinking water for the Brewster Heights Water District. And then you have the Croton Falls Reservoir. So the Croton system is what we call a cascading system of reservoirs. So the east, middle, and west branches of the Croton River all cascade in these series of reservoirs that just flow downstream from one reservoir to the next. So at the Croton Falls Reservoir, there is an intersection point because the Delaware Aqueduct was built underneath it. And so we actually have an emergency pump station at the Croton Falls Reservoir. We're able to withdraw water from the Croton Falls Reservoir and then pump that into the Delaware Aqueduct. So this portion of the system will be actively used, and it's the actual operation which is what most directly impacts the use of Middle Branch Reservoir water during our shutdown. So Croton Falls, East Branch, Bog Brook, they will all collectively be used to feed this pump station, and that it'll manifest itself and appear as a greater reservoir drawdown. So the water level will drop in the water, in the reservoirs more than what you would normally see in probably the last generation or two of usage of these reservoirs. We have a similar emergency pump station at the Cross River Reservoir. That's a little different because it doesn't have feeder reservoirs towards it, and it's just the Cross River Reservoir. It's a little smaller pump station, and the reservoir itself has less volume to be used. So the Croton Falls pump station has a very large role. The Cross River has a medium-sized role for sustaining our system during the shutdown operation. And feel free, if you have any questions, ask away.
We will.
All right. Moving even closer to home. So we have the Middle Branch Reservoir site plan. So we are currently sitting, on Route 22, just off the visual map for it. You can see the village of Brewster is outlined in yellow. You can see the Brewster Heights Water District is outlined in blue. And then the Middle Branch Reservoir furthest to the left is all the way there. So on the lower southeast corner of Middle Branch Reservoir exists the Drewville Road Pump Station. It's been in operation since the early 60s, like 1965, 1963. It's a little older than me, so not quite there in the 60s. So but it has been in operation and been serving that area since then. So where does the problem come in? So the Middle Branch pump station has an intake. It is a pump station. It's on the shoreline of a reservoir. There's a line that runs out into the reservoir, and it goes out only to a certain depth. DEP plans to use Middle Branch water along with East Branch maybe a little bit more than we have in the past and more than the Brewster Heights Water District and the pump station has observed recently. So we live by operational data. I'm sure the operators from VRI can tell you there's nothing like actually doing something and testing it and actually seeing that it works, beats a theoretical calculation any day. So, that's where we really wanted to get involved with your team and be able to, devise a plan that we would be comfortable with the drawdown of the reservoir and, potential problems that have been realized in the past. So I oversee 70 community connections to New York City. We have records going back to, the early 1900s on onion skin typewriter paper. And so in this record set, we came upon some email correspondence from 2004 that identified a problem with the pump station where the water delivery was not possible, and we had about a reported air condition was developed where the pumps weren't drawing water, they were drawing air, and that's obviously a problem for a water system that you want to deliver to. So this led New York City to really further modify its system operation. So the chart that you're looking at shows the normal pool elevation is the kind of the colored lines that are all the way towards the top of the chart. And I don't think you see my cursor. Let's see if that gets a cursor. There we go. There's a cursor. So this is the normal spill or pool elevation of what Middle Branch Reservoir will look like. The yellow area is the range of operations and range of levels that we've seen over the 30-year history of usage of the station. And the blue line is what we are projected to do this October 2024. Starting in October, we'll start drawing down the reservoir. And we basically modified our plan so that we would go down to just basically below your pump center line and just touch the reported air condition where there was a previous problem.
Just a quick question there. This is a worst case scenario that you're planning for?
This is a worst case scenario. This is more of it's not a worst case scenario that's shown right there. That's more of an average hydrology condition.
Okay.
And so that's normal average rainfall over 30 years of record. We've been running wet. Last year, we went through the entire winter, and reported out on record rainfall. Currently, right now, the New York City system is about 2% below normal with that. And so, so we can certainly have, modified graphics showing worst case scenarios. The good news is that we do have control of the outlet of Middle Branch Reservoir, and we can modify, should hydrology change, we can modify that accordingly. And we do think that the blue line, while it's shown on this graph, isn't your floor elevation for where you would actually have a pump problem. We also have a backup plan to have a well pump in place that even if there was a worst case scenario than what's shown, you have other means to be able to deliver water to the customers and the residents of the Brewster Heights Water District.
Okay, thank you.
I have
Wait, no.
No.
This is not a public hearing.
A question, actually a statement, so that people in Brewster Heights realize the DEP has been extremely thorough with making sure there's a second option if option one happens to fail. So that was one of my first questions, and I commend you guys for actually digging that deep to make sure. And I think we also have a third option with the tanker truck if something was wrong.
And these are useful, as we'll get into in the next slide. These are useful contingency planning metrics and mechanisms for any day-to-day risks. New York City comes to you today because we have a particular shutdown, we have a particular change in operations for Middle Branch Reservoir, but the water district exists and has existed for its 50-plus year lifespan as a single intake on a roadway, transportation accidents happen. So, I mean, there are other risk factors that we're not addressing today and haven't discussed, but we did want to share them with you openly and discuss them so that, you know, Robert and the VRI team can, you know, help to, you know, identify them and address them in future time. And you have. So when we looked at contingency planning, we had potential risks being reservoir levels, spills, mechanical, physical disruptions. So spills really speaks to transportation accidents. You know, folks in Westchester County, they may have recognized that there was a large gasoline tanker that spilled along Titicus Reservoir in North Salem 4 years ago, 5 years ago, more or less. And in Peekskill, their water system was actually taken out of service in 2018 from a coal tar and like an asphalt truck dumped over right near it, one of its pump stations, and they had to go off their system and onto New York City's supply as a backup for about 2 months, you know, in the midst of a different shutdown that was in preparation of our Delaware Aqueduct. So I've seen real transportation accidents, so I do mention them because they're just a real world experience from that and the risk factors there. Options that we looked at, trucking, you know, as you mentioned, that is currently the third option. The revised in 2024 to a well pump system, so that's your second backup option. And then the primary one is that the pumps are established as a better working pump today than they were previously, and we do have communications and notifications as the reservoir elevations are anticipated to change during the shutdown. Other tools in your toolbox, you can do water conservation messaging, the VRI team, if you have a reverse 911 system, if you want to do flyers or anything like that. You know, behavioral options for water conservation messaging have worked. They generally work in really, really severe droughts. You know, speaking about like California drought from the 2015, 2016 period, when you get down to being able to show pictures of reservoirs as just nearly bone dry things. That's the kind of imagery that really strikes the public to, you know, react to water conservation campaigns. They're not usually long lasting, so for an 8-month shutdown, there's a complicated factor there where when would you start, when would you end such a thing, and what actual realized gains would you be looking at. We looked at interconnection agreements with the Village of Brewster, you know, even temporary piping with the Village of Brewster. But, you know, the plan that was arrived at, that Robert and Mark are going to talk about, really is more economical, more feasible for the town and for the water district. So we'll jump right to the proposed pump station rehab. Robert or Mark?
It's not like all three of you that talked about this for a long time.
So, you know, it's the old make lemonade situation here. We have the what's going on with the reservoir level going down, but there's another issue that exists with the pump station, and then the suction piping to the pumps have lead in them. Obviously, lead and water surfaces are no good. We also have a valve that doesn't work on the suction side. So if this is an opportunity to replace all that and fix a problem that's been lingering for quite a bit of time. So this is what, and also there's the abandoned 2-inch line that's been sitting in there since probably the last time this was done. So it's, that's the valve, and then what's hatched is the piping that's connected with lead joints. So besides putting in the well system that allow us to pump water in the event that the existing pumps can't do it because the level goes down too deep, we'll be able to bypass it completely and be able to replace that suction piping. So it won't be, we'll install it just in case, but just in case, let's do all this work too, right? If we want to advance.
And this would not be the first time that a backup pump has been installed.
Correct. To my knowledge, it's probably the third time, right? So this approach has worked before in the past, right? Putting a well pump in the reservoir and pumping into the piping. And this is a plan view, so look, if you walked into the pump station and you looked down, this is what you would see. You would see the suction pipe, 2 pumps, and it's kind of hard to tell, but there is a well that we keep talking about, well pump on the reservoir. It would come in, the 3-inch line, and then be connected, teed right there, upstream of where the pumps are. So we can isolate them with valves and replace everything behind them. Yeah.
Robert, were you able to locate the old pumps? I remember that being brought up at some point.
So, no, we didn't go looking for the old pumps, but the 2-inch piping that's identified there, we're thinking if you follow that to the end, that's where it might be. So, right. Well, we have activity in the reservoir, people on boats and et cetera. That'll be the time to do it.
Okay.
So, in coordination with New York City Water Supply here, we looked at the existing pumps. We did all the math, calculations, drawdown. There's a term we like to use called flooded suction, which is what your existing pumps are. That means that the water level is higher than the pumps, and that's where that keeps the pumps happy. There's an elevation at which point it can handle some drop in elevation. And there's a point where it won't work anymore. And that's where we went through those calculations to figure out what that point would be. And for we were talking about whether the drawdown was the worst case scenario or not. So I think for a pretty long duration of the expected drawdown, we might be able to just use the existing pumps. We'll be able to pump the water we need without any issue. Now, granted, we're still going to have the well pump in place in case they can't, right? So let's skip ahead.
And that will be there for future, if there was a drought or something, that would be accessible?
So the connection point, if you went into the pump station today, you would see the connection point that was installed the last time this was done. So the only issue with that is it's connected to the suction side, which is where the lead piping is. So we have to connect in a different place to allow us to replace the lead piping, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And that way it allows us to bypass the pumps altogether. So chances are that the well pump that we're installing today is probably larger than the well pump that was installed in the past. Because in the past, it was my assumption is that it was used to provide suction head to the pumps. And this time we sized the pump to pump all the way to the treatment plant, right? So they can, the well pump independently can pump all the way to the plant.
So the pump at the station is what's getting the water to the heights. The heights isn't sucking, it's pushing.
That's right. This well pump is sized to do that, right?
To the treatment plant.
To the treatment plant.
The treatment plant to the heights.
Yeah.
That's right. So, as you guys are probably accustomed, well pumps are typically vertical. You have a vertical casing, the well pump's put inside, but it can be done, and this is actually the kind of a typical way you do it for, let's say, a leachate pump in a landfill. So, in this case, it's cleaner water, but so there'll be a casing which we propose to be an HDPE pipe, and inside that casing we'll slide the well pump, the discharge piping, and the power and control wire that goes with it. So everything that would normally go in a well normally is vertical. In this case would be practically horizontal, right? And it would be stretched out, there's a distance called out in there? 150 feet into the water. That would get us to the depth, a safe depth. Yeah.
Robert, why do you need the casing in this case?
So we went through a bunch of what-if scenarios, right? And protection was the bottom line, right? Something gets caught, grabs either the power cable or the discharge piping. Yeah, we don't want that. So.
Is that casing steel or is it
It's
plastic? also?
HDPE pipe. I don't know if you guys are familiar with HTV pipe, but it's really thick, indestructible.
It's very heavy.
It is.
It's very heavy. I've lifted.
Yeah, the classic YouTube video is that they draw an excavator, they drive an excavator over the pipe.
And it doesn't break. Yeah.
And it doesn't break.
Okay.
So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so it's there for protection.
Yeah, so New York City watershed rules and regulations provide for a 500-foot buffer from a water supply intake, so we were having them add signage that it's a water supply intake, and that'll
Oh, okay.
push the anglers, back off by 500 feet by rule.
Yeah, that would be the float that's right at the edge. You can point at it. Yes. This is it. So it's gonna be float on the top of the surface where I guess signage could be attached to it so people would stay away from this area.
Yeah, warn anybody who's on a boat that, again, the level will be shallower than they're used to, right? So that, and there's a pipe in there that they might hit. We don't want it to hit them, so that's what that's about. Okay, I think.
There's also sediment that you would want,
Yep.
keep the sediment.
And it's got the typical well stuff. It's got a screen, VFD controlled, so we can control the flow rate, screen to keep the particles out. So, get an advance, I think. Yeah, so again, we went through all the calculations to size the pump and shared it with everybody and triple check and all that kind of stuff, right? So again, 15 horsepower well pump, get us 200 gallons a minute, and it'll get us water all the way to the treatment plant. And with the VFD, what it allows you to do is it'll dial it in. So if we're pumping too much, we can adjust the hertz and slow down the flow rate, and the water plant filters will get the same water they've always gotten. We don't want to overload the filters either.
So with that control, it's possible that you could pump too much water, like they're not using it fast enough, where it would have to slow down.
Right, because it's when you're doing pumps and it's more of a horseshoe than a fine target kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right, so we're aiming for 117 pressure TDH, we're going to get 200 gallons a minute. But if the differential is different and we don't have 117 feet ahead, and then we actually have 90 feet ahead, then we'll pump more than 200 gallons a minute, right? So the way to counter that and control that is adjusting the hertz on the pump. So that way the treatment plant.
And that's on Joe, right?
That's right. So the treatment plant can operate and not have problems, right? Yeah.
Also, the assumption is made that the discharge pipe to the water treatment plant is 6 inch. I'm sure there's buildup on the inside, so it's more friction. So what Delaware Engineering did, they assumed it's a 6 inch, which gave them 117 feet of head pressure. Now, having a bigger size pump can still beat that friction losses. The VFD can always regulate this down if it turned out to be going so strong for the piping or for the treatment plant.
Right. So I think we're done. That is it.
Questions?
Oh, I got some. This has nothing to do with it. The 14-inch pipe that you're replacing.
14 foot.
14 foot, I'm sorry. Is that, I wouldn't say pressurized, but is the water basically in the whole entire 14 feet?
That is pressurized.
It is pressurized.
Absolutely pressurized.
Okay.
So the original aqueduct is a 13-foot, 6-inch diameter. The replacement or the bypass tunnel is a 14-foot diameter, and that's to accommodate for the friction loss for the bends when it leaves the existing alignment and then returns to the existing alignment. So there's a little bit of friction loss at those bend points. They're maybe not true 90-degree bends, but they're pretty close to 90. And so there's the friction loss there. So they upsize that pipe. It's also steel interlined. So, part of the anecdotal New York City story is that during World War II, steel was at a premium for the war effort for tanks and was less prioritized for water supply pipe uses. So we may have installed more steel at a different time in the United States history when we were building that aqueduct. And the new tunnel is entirely steel interlined, where it was about 5,000 feet on the existing tunnel. So, you know, it's upwards of 11, 12,000 feet for 2.5 miles to get there. So that entire steel interlining is, I don't have the picture with me, but it's pretty cool. We have a photo of the barge passing the Statue of Liberty with piled up with the steel
Oh, I
interliners.
saw that.
Yeah, so
I
if
saw
you've
that
ever
today.
seen that, that's what
Yeah.
that's what that photo of that steel pipe is.
Here's a question you might not have the answer, and everyone wants to know, how is this getting paid for?
So New York City water ratepayers pay for the operation and the capital costs of New York City. So New York City owns and operates the reservoir system and the water supply system. It's a bit complicated. So in the middle 1980s, New York City formed the New York City Water Finance Municipal Authority, and so the New York City Water Board. And so those entities are quasi-public. They're not mayoral agencies. Mark and I work for New York City DEP, which is a mayoral agency, and we're the operators of the water system. The New York City Mayor's Office owns the water system, and then the Water Municipal Finance Authority bonds and collects the revenues for water bills to pay for the system operation. So we are self-funded through water rates throughout the system. And so, you know, on average, it's about a $4 billion a year revenue stream from the water fund. Mostly in city, we're about $100 million of that in the upstate realm, $80 to $100 million, depending on any given year.
I think was your question more about who's paying for this?
Yes, for that, not for ours.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
Okay.
Because I know that our pump station is ours, but I'm pretty sure right now there's no funding for that for us.
There has not been any funding discussion for that. So, I mean, for connection to the New York City water supply system, it's under statute, originating back to the Water Supply Act of 1905. That was a state law that gave New York City the right to develop a water system outside of the territory of New York City. And then in return for that right, it did allow any communities that were then in Westchester County, and that's since expanded from Westchester to Westchester, Putnam, Orange, Dutchess, Ulster, 8 counties all in total throughout the water supply system. But part of that rule is that the connecting municipality or water district does pay the cost to connect and to own and operate, and for the actual volumetric charge for water.
You already just add that we had, what?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add that the board, just for the public, the board sent a request to Senator Peter Harkam to try and get some money to help pay for our piece of this. And Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have not heard back from him.
We have not. I actually will follow up on that. And we are actively looking for any source of grant we can for this. You guys got any questions?
Nothing else.
No? You good? All right. Well, we really appreciate you guys coming down. I mean, I know you've
Thank you.
probably done this 500-600 times by now.
I still want the tunnel tour someday.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Everyone does. You know.
Not me.
No, Wendy. Wendy's going to say stop sign.
But thank you very much, guys. We appreciate all the
Thank you,
efforts.
Supervisor.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
So
down.
I'll leave our handouts at the back table. That they're public documents. You can feel free to distribute them or copy them.
We may have this, but I don't know if this has changed or not, but can we have a soft copy?
Sure.
And maybe we could post that to the website? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, Mark will email it.
Okay.
We have the copy.
I might have.
Actually, I can give it to you.
Okay.
Thank you very much again, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Just gonna connect to the internet.
Your dongle and your HDMI.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Safe travel home. With that, we'll go right into our next discussion, which is our new water company, VRI, and it's Joe and Tyler. We thank them for coming down. What do I do with the VRI sheet?
You're going the wrong way.
So Joe's been here for about 3 months?
No.
No, I'm sorry,
Month and a half.
month and a half, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Joe's going to just give us a little update on how they're doing and what they're seeing in our plants.
So I'm Joe McLaughlin. I'm one of the principals of VRI. This is Tyler Post. He's our operations director. Basically, since we've been here, we both have been here every day, just trying to get everything, in order to what we think it should be. So the small plants really are actually pretty good. Blackberry, Fox Hill, Star Ridge, we know what's going on over there. Hillcrest is good, Peaceable is good, Birch Hill, again, we know what's going on. Mountain Brook, I had calls start last week about discolored water in the top of the system. It seems to be 6 houses, I think, that had the issues. We did a flush on Thursday of last week. On Sunday, I started getting calls again. We did some more tweaking on Monday, and I believe as of today, I haven't heard anything.
I confirmed today it's crystal clear.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Yeah. Spring House Water District. There, we believe we have a pretty significant leak that's since we started. We were out in the system today looking for curb boxes. New York Rural Water will come out and do leak detection for you for free. So I just have to expose all the curb boxes to each home so they can get on and listen to it and see if they can, because that's all ledge in that development. When I worked here 20 years ago, I could tell you we spent months looking for leaks, so this equipment helps you find it much faster.
Joe, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you reminded me, our assessor, Lori Bell, is here. I just wanted to have her check to see if any house might be abandoned up there, because you had mentioned if there's an empty house, there could be a leak inside the house that we don't know
We would see it
about.
running normally, but yeah, it doesn't hurt to look. I mean, I walked the system, I don't know what day it was now, I can't even remember, but I think Tuesday I walked the whole system. And I didn't see any empty, they didn't look empty to me.
Okay.
But again, it doesn't hurt to look and say I might have missed something.
Hey, Joe, on that leak, do you think that was leaking for a while?
Yeah, it started, I actually can go back and look. So it started in February. The flows are normally about 7,000 gallons a day. It looks like in February they jumped up to about 14, 15. And right now I'm at 28, 30.
And so that wasn't caught by,
I'm sorry, what's that?
that wasn't caught by the previous provider?
I actually heard from Chuck Gallagher. He's the one who said, I think you might have a leak up there. You might want to go check it out. So then I looked back at all the paperwork and that's how we figured it out.
Okay, thank you.
But you are on it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, we're exposing all the curb boxes. I already talked to New York Rural. Once I get everything exposed, I'm gonna have them come back out and I'll go out with them again and see what we can find. And obviously, once we find it, I'll keep you posted.
I'm glad we're keeping you busy, Joe.
A little bit. So I guess Brewster Heights Water is the next one. We've been obviously spending a lot of time at that plant. Filter number 2 has been cleaned out, scraped. It's getting ready to be painted tomorrow. We should have it hopefully back online by the end of next week or the beginning of the week after. So we are still running off of filters 1 and 3. 3 is the good one, 1 is the one that has me, But as of right now, the only hiccup that we had is that the fire department hooked up the other night, which I think was Monday night. I don't remember what night it was anymore. But I think the water cleared up pretty quickly from everybody I spoke to up there. And I mean, my parents live up there, so I called there pretty quick to see what was going on. Their water was clear yesterday, today.
So I'll just reiterate what happened, because I know there's people here from the Heights. Joe has been diligently making sure that there's no yellow water, knock on wood.
Yep.
He's been keeping us in the loop. We know it was the biggest problem we've had in the last few years. There was a report of yellow water on, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, something like that. What happened was that there was a gentleman burning and the fire department was called. He was burning too much, I guess. The fire department hooked up to the hydrant. They pulled out 5,500 gallons of water, which stirred everything up, made it yellow, but
It kicked on our fire pump, which once the fire pump goes on, that's,
right.
yep, that stirs it up pretty
So
quickly.
Joe communicated with us, and we all panicked, but it was not
did.
it was not caused by the district or the operator. It was something outside the district that caused that.
And that being said, I reached out to Ken Clare the next day, and I just asked him if anything happens in any of the water districts, if he could just shoot me a text or let me know. You know, obviously, I know they're busy during a fire, but just so I have a heads up, and he's said he would do that, that's fine.
And just one more thing on that district. I've been there a few times. We went there together earlier in the year, and I happened to drive by today. I popped in, and the plant looks cleaner and better than any time I've been there. So.
Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time trying to clean up and get things back to, you know, what we think they should be.
And just on another note, thank you, Eric, because Eric handled all the calls for that fire and stuff and got it taken care of with you, and I appreciate that.
Anything else in Brewster Heights? Oh, I'm actually waiting for the analyzers. Those should be in as far as next week, as I believe at the end of next week. The analyzers, which will control the color for me, so if we have issues, I'll be able to control it. They're actually, I spoke to the SCADA company, and they are gonna set me up where I'll have the plant on my phone, so I'll be able to see anything that's going on at any time, and if there's an issue, I can shut it right off. So that'll relieve a lot of stress in my life.
Joe, one more question on this. I think I know the answer to this, but I think since you've been there, are you just running the plant while you're there and shutting it down at night?
So I'm not shutting it down at night, but we run it all day while we're there. So it's full. By the time we leave at the end of the day, it does shut off, and it is kicking on at night when we're not there, but it's only running a few hours. So by the time we get there, we make sure we just keep running it all day.
Okay.
So it's been working that way, and I don't want to change anything. And just so you're aware, like when we were just talking about the gallons per minute, so I'm running the filters. We're doing 110 gallons a minute coming into the plant. So those pumps that they were talking about is easily done.
Hey, Joe, is that a new practice as far as shutting the pumps off at the end of the day, or was that prior practice?
That's what we're doing. I don't know what any practice was before we got here,
Okay.
but that's just for peace of mind for me. That way, because so my guy, I have an operator that's there all day. So that's his job, is I told him, you're staying here all day until all this equipment is fixed and everything is upgraded, then we'll be able to start doing other things, but until then. And his history, just so, he's been doing this for 22 years. He started with me in Brewster. He got his water license at that plant, as I did. And then him and I both went to Mount Kisco Water Plant, which is the same process as Brewster Heights, but it's 6 million gallons a day. So then when we came back, I offered him a job, and he's awesome. I couldn't be happier. So yeah, the plant's running good. The only thing that didn't happen is there was supposed to be a hydrant flushing in April, which they didn't do it. So I don't know, and I'm not doing it now because I'm afraid of trying to stir anything up and not being able to make up whatever I flush out of the system. Once the other filter's up and running for a few weeks, I'm figuring in July we'll be able to go out and do a good flush in the system and get everything out.
I don't know if you know this answer. I guess we should have asked Mark and Bill, but when this reservoir goes down, is that gonna stir it up?
It's possible, but it's not anticipated.
yeah.
It's more a function of the lower it goes, you may have exposed shoreline, and then if you have wind and weather conditions, that would.
It'll be the same thing. We'll be there all day once all that's going on. We're not gonna, you know, as far as the plant goes right now, I don't wanna, you know, take any chances with anything, so.
With conventional filtration, you usually handle sediment loads, which that would be more of a sediment load.
We don't know if there is a strainer on that 6-inch pipe. We know there is a strainer on the temporary 3-inch that was added to the well pump. But the 6-inch, we don't have information. Was there a strainer down there at some point?
I believe there was years ago, but I'm talking about 20 years ago now, so I'm not sure.
So there's unknown information really about this suction pipe.
Mark and Bill, I'm sorry, can you come up to the mic if you're gonna speak? Because the recording doesn't hear you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just saying, we don't know if there is existing strainer installed on the 6-inch intake pipe. We know Delaware Engineering added the strainer on the 3-inch, the temporary connection to the well pump. So there are some unknown information we wish we can, get it on board, so if something, happen, we can adjust or at least provide the feedback, what needs to be done. Not sure how to get that.
I'm
We're
not
gonna be
sure
in
The
contact.
last time anyone dove down there, or I don't have any records of that.
Was there any diving program to inspect this intake pipe or back in the day?
There was years ago when I was here originally. I remember divers going out and cleaning the screen and doing that all the time. But again, it's been 20 years since I was out there. I don't know.
He's only been back a month.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think, didn't Bill Bright at one point say there was a video?
Yeah,
Robert?
he found diving, if I remember correctly, he found diving footage or something.
Yeah, Robert, I don't know if that's something you may be able to source.
I'll look it up.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, sorry, Joe, keep interrupting you.
That's all right. So, and the other, what's the last thing? The lighting. So we have the approval on that. The actual lights started showing up yesterday, so I'm hoping next week they start putting the lights in the plant. And that's really it for the water plant for now. The sewer plant's all that Tyler do, because he wrote a lot, and I don't know my glasses.
Can't read. Yes, I'll go over the two wastewater plants, Brewster Heights and Blackberry. Starting with Brewster Heights, so same thing with the water plants. We've just been spending a lot of time there cleaning. We actually removed enough garbage to fill a 30-yard dumpster, just a lot of stuff laying around, and so really worked on cleaning that place up, painting inside. So as far as the process equipment, we did chemical clean-in places on both the microfiltration units at Brewster Heights. There was previously purchased new filter modules for those CMF units. They're on site, and the company is expected to be out there starting Monday the 17th, all week next week, to replace those modules. There won't be any shutdown. There's 2 units you could run on one, so while we're working on one, we'll use the other, and I think that should be within like a week or 2 to complete that. Last week, we drained and inspected one of the secondary clarifiers. It should be done every 2 years or so. It's good to just drain it down and make sure all the equipment in the tanks is working. If people drop stuff in them years past, get that stuff out. So that was completed on one of the clarifiers last week. We had Slack Chemical come out. They are the chemical vendor for Brewster Heights, and do what's called a jar test. So basically it's just running through a few different chemicals to make sure that the one that we're currently using is getting us the most effective, phosphorus removal, coagulation, and he confirmed that what we're using now with them and the dose that we're using is effective, so that's all good. Lighting there, the CMF building, which is the newer building at Brewster Heights, is in need of new lighting, so I think we requested a couple different quotes, so we're waiting on pricing for that, once that comes.
Looks like a cave in there.
What's that?
It's very dark in there.
Yeah.
Just so the public knows, the wastewater plants, the DEP basically reimburses pretty much for everything in those plants.
There's percentages on certain things, but. Yeah.
Right, so yes, the town has a contract with DEP for when the facilities went through their DEP upgrades because they discharge into the watershed. Every facility, every district is different, but like Joe mentioned, there's specific contracts that'll outline percentage like buildings and grounds, chemicals, sludge hauling, and it's divvied up between the city and town. So yes, at least the microfiltration is 100% covered, and then all the other stuff like the lighting, if it's not 100% covered, it'll be at least a percentage covered by DEP. Okay, I'll move on to Blackberry. Same thing, did a lot of cleaning there. That plant also has CMFs, continuous microfiltration units. They've been running pretty poorly since we started. I could just tell from the differential pressure going through the filters. We operate numerous other facilities with those same filters, so we knew they needed new modules. So we reached out to the same company that's doing the Brewster Heights work next week, and they gave in a quote that was approved last week, I believe, to replace all those modules. So we'll get them out as soon as they can. We're looking at potentially switching the chemical at Blackberry. Right now it's an alum, and I think a Packle may work a little bit better. That's what's used at Brewster Heights, and it's very effective. So looking into that, just doing some troubleshooting. One of the RBC units is the rotating biological contactor. That's what gives us our biological treatment. One of those is down. It went down, I think, the week before we started, and that is a drive that needs to be replaced. So we reached out to a company. We're waiting pricing and for that work to be done. And then sand filters. There's 3 sand filters in that plant. We replaced floats in there. So it's a lot of like smaller stuff that we've been going through doing, but just stuff as we've gone along, noticed that needs either replacement or upgrade that we've been trying to get done a little bit at a time. And that's all, everything for the wastewater plants, I guess.
Great,
Any
thank
questions
you.
or anything?
Am I reading this right, that the filters are coming from DuPont?
Yeah.
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, boy.
Yep.
Yep.
DuPont created forever chemical issues. That's what
Yeah.
PFAS.
Mhm.
Great, thank you guys
Yeah,
for
thank
coming
you.
down. You guys have
Thank
any
you.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just, you guys have been doing a great job.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're
Appreciate
glad
it.
you're with us. Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, our next discussion is a town board procedures document. I'm actually going to refer to Eric on this.
Sure. So last year, we modified our town board procedure document. Our intent was to change the section on waiving the rules from requiring a unanimous vote to just requiring a majority vote, which we passed and modified. What I recently noticed was we only changed it from unanimous to majority in one place, and it's actually mentioned in 2 places, and I found 2 other typos. So I would just like to, at the next meeting, vote to make those 3 changes to the procedure document.
Okay.
Questions or concerns? Otherwise, we'll vote next meeting. So
Good catch.
No, yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Eric.
My keyboard, one of the letters is wrong. That's why it keeps going.
this predates you, buddy.
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, exactly. Our last discussion is with our videographer, but we're going to postpone that till our next meeting and talk about that then. Close the work session?
Motion.
All right, so I'll make the motion to close the work session.
Oh, no, I think you just made a motion.
Just go into the regular.
Oh, make a motion to go into the regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have a few resolutions for the regular meeting. Our first resolution is the audit of Justice Court records. Be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby accepts the report of examination of the Town of Southeast Justice Courts for the period ending December 31st, 2023, and certifies that the requirements of Section 2019-A of the Uniform Justice Court Act has been fulfilled. And be it further resolved that the town clerk is directed to enter a copy of this resolution into the minutes of the meeting and to forward a certified copy of this resolution together with a copy of the report dated May 8th, 2024 to Chief Internal Auditor, New York State Unified Court System, 185 Jordan Road, Suite 1, Troy, New York, 12180, and/or by electronic email at swinters@newyorkcourts.gov. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
My typewriter. Our second resolution is to adopt a law for the 6-month moratorium and land use applications incorporating lithium battery storage facilities. Therefore, be it resolved that the proposed local law to declare a temporary moratorium on the review and approval of certain commercial uses is a Type 2 action pursuant to the provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review, and no further environmental review is required. And be it further resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 4 of 2024 pursuant to the Municipal Home Rule Law amending chapters 54 and 138 of the Town Code, establishing a temporary moratorium and on the establishment of any construction or development which incorporates the generation or storage of energy or the use or utilization of lithium battery storage technology, or the further review of any such applications currently filed with the Building Department or Planning Board of the Town of Southeast, including but not limited to any applications for building or occupancy permits, or the issuance of any such permits for any use described to incorporate the installation or utilization of lithium storage technology. And be it further resolved that this local law shall take effect immediately. And be it further resolved that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized and directed to enter a said law in the minutes of this meeting and in the code book of the Town of Southeast, and give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such a with the Secretary of State of New York within the time required by law. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our third resolution is the adoption of the public interest order for Star Ridge Water District, Star Ridge Manor Water District. So ordered by the Town Board of the Town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York, as follows. Section 1. Pursuant of Section 209-H of the Town Law, it is hereby determined that it is in the public interest to increase the maximum amount of authorized to be expanded in connection with the improvements within Star Ridge Manor Water District in the Town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York, to an increased maximum estimated cost of $2,550,000, which will not constitute an undue burden on the property in said water district. It is hereby further determined that all real property to be assessed to pay the cost thereof will be benefited by the proposed improvements at the increased cost thereof, and no benefited property has been excluded from the boundaries of said water district. Section 2. The improvements proposed for said water district consist of the design and construction of water filtration, purification, and distribution system, included a water treatment facility to serve properties in Star Ridge Manor Water District in the Town of Southeast, Putnam County, New York. The maximum amount to be expended by said water district pursuant to these proceedings for said improvements shall not exceed $2,550,000. Said cost of the improvement shall be financed by the issuance of serial bonds of said town, maturing in annual installments over a period of not exceeding 40 years, payable in the first instance from assessments levied upon and collected from the several lots and parcels of land within said water district deemed benefited from the improvements, in the amount sufficient to pay the principal and interest on said bonds as the same become due, but if not paid from such source, all the taxable real property in said town shall be subject to the levy and ad valorem taxes without limitations as the rate or amount sufficient to pay the principal of the interest and said bonds as the same shall become due. Section 3, the order is hereby adopted, subject to permissive referendum, and the town clerk shall publish a notice of adoption, therefore, together with the full text, including Exhibit A hereof within 10 days of the date hereof in the official newspaper of the town, and post same on the official sign board and website of the town within 10 days hereof. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Our final resolution is the renaming of private road for Ace Endico. Therefore, be it resolved that the private road running generally in the northerly direction from Zimmer Road into a currently undeveloped lot formerly known as Tira 3 is hereby renamed as and identified as Endico Way. And be it further resolved that the highway superintendent shall install an appropriate sign or signs designated said road as Endico Way Private at the intersection of said road with Zimmer Road. So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the supervisor's report. And in speaking with our accountant, Ron Hood, we actually are very close to where we want to be at this point in the year, on average. There are a couple of our items that, haven't come to fruition yet, and they usually don't until maybe the end of summer. So once those catch up, we should actually be looking good. We're going to definitely have some challenges coming up, but I think all involved are doing a great job to get us where we need to be. Not much other than that, really. Okay, so with that, we can now open it up to the public if anyone has any comments they'd like to talk about.
Yes. All right, I just have a question.
Your name, please.
Kathy McBride
Hi,
in Brewster Heights. Okay? I don't know if you know the situation about the storm drains. Storm drains are up here. The road is like this. I have been flooded for the past couple of months. The guy can't mow my lawn. There's been a lot of problems. Mr. Burdick comes up there. He doesn't even tell me anything. He talks to all the people that are there. I would like it fixed. He said he has to put a lift in the driveway. When is he going to do that? I am getting water. The water is going down the road, and it's going down my driveway. I have a puddle. I have a pool in my backyard. And this has been going on for 3 months now. And I'm getting a little upset about it, you know?
I have spoken to Mike, and I know he's gone out. What I'll do...
When is he going to fix it? He did the other house. He's just, I just don't understand. He's not even talking to me. He won't talk to me. He talks to the sheriffs that are out there. He talks to whoever. He will not talk to me. I want it fixed. I have to wait 2 weeks for the guy to mow my lawn. The grass is up to here. He won't mow it because there's a puddle, a pool down there. Come and look at my house, how it goes.
I will.
It's down this way in the back.
I'll speak with Mike, and I'll come out there with Mike.
Yeah, tell him to speak to me. Don't go speaking to people on the street who have to relay back to me what he said. First he said he was going to put a curb. And, that's what they told me, a curb. And I said, how could he put a curb? A speed bump on the top of my driveway? But then I went down to someone else's house and saw that it's just a little curb, so the water doesn't go down my driveway. Just, it's a little bit higher. But I mean, I don't think I deserve this. First of all, I am disabled. I've had 3 brain surgeries, okay? And I just don't feel that I should be treated the way I'm treated. I'm at a house, I take care of my house, and I don't want to be abused. So please talk to him, okay?
I will.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Barrett. Thanks for your comments. Does anyone else from the public like to come up? Are you Scott? Hello,
Scott
Scott.
Seaman, town of Southeast.
Hey, Scott.
I just wanted to point out the seniors are graduating next Friday, and I know in the past the town, you know how it feels. In the past, the town has been very supportive of the graduating seniors, and I would just ask them to continue their support, and if there's anything that I can do to alleviate or be a middle ground between the town and the schools, to please let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do whatever we need to do.
Scott, I don't know where the banners are.
Oh, if you didn't give back to Horler, I'm gonna hear it. So I will talk to Principal Horler tomorrow.
I may have them.
Okay, I will talk to Principal Horler.
I will look at my basement,
Okay.
but I have not seen them.
So I will wait to
In your
talk to Principal Horler.
Yeah,
We put up the map.
that's where all the
Right.
Christmas lights and stuff are.
That's, oh my God.
Yeah, and the giant stuff for the bridge. It's,
Yeah,
I don't know how the
it's just
wife
my
doesn't kill
basement.
him,
A lot of
but
town stuff.
thank you for your support and congratulations. Our kids finally got their graduation, so you know. Yeah.
You know, I do love that senior walk. That
Yeah,
is
I
like the
know.
best thing that the school district, well, not the best thing.
Well, the
but
picture's
it's
out,
just-
so you
it's
can watch
amazing. I
it and
love
just
it.
imagine your child in
Yeah,
that
I've got
picture. but-
3 graduated, 2 more coming down the line, so.
Oh, well, God bless
It
you
is
then.
such a, it's, yeah, such a fun thing that they do.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Scott. Hopefully, with the little proclamation we did this at the beginning of the meeting, we'll start
Yeah.
making better ties with the school.
Yeah, those young women were incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
it's a-
You know,
amazing.
2 or 3 losses in 3 years.
Yeah, that's,
I mean,
And they
Great.
came out as gate winners, like
Yeah.
when they started
Yeah.
3 years ago, it was
we
really.
were one of the
very
first
cool.
districts in New York State
To-
to
yep.
participate in the program.
yeah, yeah.
It's been
for sure.
nothing to get it. Now everyone's trying to get on board and say, oh, look, we're part of the district. We were there at the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's great.
yeah,
It
exactly.
is great.
Thanks, Scott. Anyone else?
Nope,
Does anyone from the town board have a comment?
not from me.
No?
All right, I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.